Okay, so I'm putting together a little tutorial on to help people knock out the white background against their line art for illustrations that you're doing, whether it's for 2D art, manga, 3D art, or you're trying to knock out a white background against maybe a photo that you have, whether it's a stock art image, something you took where you want to knock out that white background. A lot of people traditionally would try to use like the magic wand as a selection tool, and hit this image and hit the white. But to me, that gives a lot of jaggies. You have to mess with the tolerance, and it just doesn't really give you a really good end result. And you have to go around and selecting the white and trying to make it work. It's tedious and again gives subpar results. So I'm going to hit Command D to deselect, look back at my image. The first thing I'm going to do is turn this to pure black and white, because right now you can see the non-repro blue pencil underneath from the original sketch. So I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Black and White. I'm just going to take the default, which is fine for intents of this quick tutorial. And then I'm also going to hit Command L. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to go into my levels, and I'm just going to ramp this up a bit to make it a little darker to try to punch up those blacks. You don't have to do that. I just think it's better visually for this training. Now I have the more pure black versus white. I'm going to go into my background layer, the only layer that this image has, and you can see it's locked. I need to double click on this, click OK to unlock that layer. Now I can affect layer control. So now I'm going to double click on the layer, and it's going to bring up my layer style menu. A lot of you are probably familiar with this already. It's where you get your bevels, your drop shadows, your inner glows, etc. Those functions are really pointless for the purpose of this video, because this is one solid image. You're not going to see a drop shadow or anything, and it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to teach you. But what we really want to focus on is just this bottom thing on the layer style here, where it says blend if, and it says this layer. You can see it's this gray, red, green, blue. We're working with gray. All you're really focusing on is this little slider here, and you can see that's your white level. So the more you pull it over, the more it knocks out your whites, and you can see just the black line art. Now, already you can see that, wow, that looks great. Only thing is, you really don't want to do this with only one layer. I'm going to cancel real quick. You want to have another layer underneath. So we can either hit Command-Shift-N, again on a Mac, to create a new layer, or we can go into our menu here and hit New Layer. Name it whatever you want. I'm going to delete it eventually, but we call it Solid Background, and I can't type right now, obviously. And you want that beneath your artwork. For that layer, I'm going to pick, probably like a darker gray. And I'm going to take my paint bucket, G, and I'm going to fill that in. Now, since it's beneath, you can't see it, but since it was selected over here, if I turn off the top layer, you can see it's gray. So now, when I go back to this top layer and double-click, and I bring up my layer styles, now watch what happens. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can see the full screen. When you slide this over, it starts to knock out the whites. Now you can see there's a lot of different shades of white, so you're going to pull this over as far as you need it to go, till you feel comfortable. And again, you'll end up getting to a level where you feel like it's working, it's knocking out enough white for you, but not hitting enough black, because you can also, the blacks here you can knock out too, which we don't want to do. But you can see right there's some still light grays and stuff, but I didn't knock it down so much that I don't have my artwork underneath. So now, if I click OK, I have my character. Now, it doesn't look that great against a solid black, because you're dealing with black and lighter gray pencil strokes against a dark gray background. But if I take this layer now and turn it off, again, you can see my line art on top. That looks a little bit better. I can take this layer, grab my paint bucket, and fill it with white instead. And now look at how my artwork popped. And now I'm going to scale back a little. You can see that line art's there. Now I can go in with my eraser, and I can just, sorry, I'm on the background layer. I could just try to, clean some of this up if I wanted, very quickly, and make it look even better. Again, I might have lost a little more detail than I wanted on some of these lines because I did it so quick. Like one of the other things you can work with when you're selecting, before you even go into those blending and layer options, I use the levels control. I'm going to go back to my history here just quickly to show this point. And let me go back smaller a little. I'm going to go back to my original black and white drawing here, and instead of using levels, there's another thing you can do called curves. And with your curves, you can also work with that to try to get to a level of black that you really want, that's going to punch it up and then maybe also try hitting, again, you're just playing with the curve to find out what is going to really hit those darks. Like if I do a strong curve like this, wow, look how black that went. And now if I really quickly double click, go into my layer styles and knock it down from here, you can see I really have a lot more detail saved. Just real quick, I'm going to Command-Shift-N, throw a white layer underneath it, and you can see the difference. Okay, I mean, I kept a lot more detail there by doing it with curves. Now it will require more cleanup too, because I also preserved a lot of those secondary strokes, but personally I would rather have a little bit more cleanup like this than have to go, then lose that detail. So real quickly, that was a lesson on how to knock out the white background on your line art. It comes in really handy, and what I really like about this, real quickly, is Command-Shift-N again. Say I wanted to create a layer where I wanted to start painting this in and kind of grab like a flesh tone for my guy. I could just now grab my brush, take it at a reasonable size, and I'll be on the layer underneath my line art again, and I can just start coloring this guy in really quickly, and all of a sudden he's looking kind of nice, You're just doing, the black line is staying above it, it's staying nice and preserved, and within a few minutes you can have, especially if a color palette selected ahead of time, if you're doing like comic book panels and a character keeps that same skin tone and outfit color and everything else throughout the the book. Once you have your palette selected, you've created a palette, you can just go through and especially if you have a Wacom tablet, a Cintiq or a Wacom Intuos, or even a Bamboo for people who might be starting out. That's one of the cheaper Wacoms. You can use something like that and very quickly go in and start coloring your characters. And the great thing is, if you don't like it, it's very easy to change the layer. And say I did this flesh tone and I said, oh, I really wish I would have done that with a slightly darker or something a little bit more pinkish or whatever. I can now, since I have that skin tone on its own layer, I can just go into image adjustments, hue saturation, and I can say, oh, well, I want it a little bit less saturated, I want it more saturated, I want it to lean a little bit more red, or I want to, whatever, yellow if he's sickly, not feeling too hot, just fun kind of stuff. You can colorize it and, go all out and make them all different colors, whatever you're doing, just experimentation, just create multiple layers, copy it, duplicate it, and have fun with it. I'm going to cancel to leave them, with the flesh tone. But again, in a nutshell, that's how to use it and how to knock out this layer. Kind of a fun technique I picked up, and I thought I would share it on YouTube with some of my fellow artist friends out there. All right, enjoy. Oh, by the way, real quick, the character that you can see on this board is from our book that I wrote and had a great friend of mine, Jeffrey Varub. He's an artist, illustrator for Disney, who illustrated this character, and actually it's done about 40 additional drawings, scene artwork for a children's book that we're going to be publishing Christmas of 2014. So it's a fun action-adventure story, good Christian values, but sort of like a Lord of the Rings with a Christmas theme. So fun stuff. Look out for it. I'll post a link for this as we get further along. Okay? Enjoy.